and to imply that we should just ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark had on this team, this league, this sport. Nah, it doesn't work that way.
It is becoming increasingly difficult to have an honest conversation about the WNBA without addressing the undeniable impact Caitlin Clark has had on the league. From the moment she stepped onto a professional court, the atmosphere around women's basketball changed. Games that once struggled for national attention suddenly became must-watch events. Arenas were upgraded, tickets sold out in minutes, and television networks aggressively promoted matchups featuring her. Caitlin Clark did not simply boost one franchise, she elevated the entire league's visibility. New fans, many of whom had never watched a WNBA game before, were drawn in by her style of play, her confidence, and her ability to perform under pressure. This type of influence cannot be manufactured through marketing alone. It happens when a player authentically captures public interest.
Sue Bird calls out ESPN hosts for, quote, hating on WNBA playoff ratings after Caitlin Clark's exit. You say, what? Why?
The true measure of Caitlin Clark's influence became clear the moment she exited the playoffs. Almost immediately, there was a noticeable drop in energy surrounding the postseason. Social media engagement slowed, television ratings declined, and casual viewers began tuning out. This was not speculation or emotional exaggeration, it was reflected directly in the data. Games that previously drew massive audiences saw sharp decreases in viewership, and attendance numbers followed the same trend. Fans openly expressed disappointment, not because the basketball itself was bad, but because the central figure that made the games feel special was no longer present. The league's momentum, which had been building rapidly, suddenly felt fragile.
Has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring systems to the WNBA. This has been happening, and that I think is what's been such a shock.
This shift sparked a heated debate within sports media, most notably between analysts like Stephen A. Smith and WNBA legend Sue Bird. Smith argued that Caitlin Clark's absence significantly hurt the playoff excitement, pointing directly to ratings and attendance figures. He emphasized that acknowledging Clark's impact does not diminish the achievements of past players, but rather reflects the current reality of the league. Sue Bird, however, pushed back against this narrative, suggesting that the WNBA was still thriving and that Clark's influence was being overstated. While her perspective carried weight due to her legendary status, many fans struggled to reconcile her comments with the visible decline in interest following Clark's departure.
Caitlin Clark are astronomical. She is a big draw. She brings in all the things. And yes, the games where she's not playing have lower viewership. But in the WNBA playoffs are still breaking records from previous WNBA years.
What frustrated fans most was not disagreement, but what felt like denial. Throughout the season, evidence of Caitlin Clark's drawing power was overwhelming. Entire home games were moved to larger venues. League-wide attendance increased dramatically. Indiana Fever games regularly outperformed other matchups in viewership. These were not isolated incidents. They were consistent patterns. When such clear indicators exist, downplaying their significance can feel dismissive to fans who witnessed the shift firsthand. To many, it appeared as though some voices within the league were uncomfortable acknowledging that one player had become the primary engine of growth.
But they don't want it to grow if it's certain people at the face. And there is still this undertone of jealousy that for some reason I cannot get around calling it anything else but that, because I don't know what else it could be. I thought it was going to get better this season, but it hasn't. There are still people who seemingly, to me, feel like they just don't want Caitlin to be a part of it.
This discomfort has led to deeper conversations about internal politics and resistance to change within the WNBA. Caitlin Clark disrupted the existing balance of attention and competition. She raised expectations, intensified rivalries, and redefined what mainstream success could look like for women's basketball. For some, that disruption may have felt threatening rather than exciting. Instead of fully embracing the opportunity to build around a new generational star, parts of the league appeared hesitant to let her become its defining face. Fans interpreted this hesitation as jealousy, insecurity, or an unwillingness to adapt to a new era.
What's the problem, Sue Bird? I know that you gave her props and you acknowledged how phenomenal she was in terms of a draw. What Shannon Sharpe and I were guilty of saying was that not enough folks were appreciating.
As a result, speculation about Caitlin Clark potentially playing overseas has grown louder. Supporters argue that international leagues offer better financial opportunities, greater respect, and fewer political complications. With reports of multimillion-dollar offers available abroad, the idea of Clark leaving the WNBA no longer seems far-fetched. If elite players feel undervalued or unsupported at home, they will naturally explore alternatives. This possibility raises serious concerns about the WNBA's ability to retain its top talent and maintain long-term stability in an increasingly global basketball market.
The bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. I'm not finished. Attendance for the entire league is up nearly 50% this year, and Indiana leads all teams with an average attendance of 17,035, up 300.
Ultimately, the Caitlin Clark effect is not a theory. It is a documented reality. She revitalized interest in the WNBA, attracted new audiences, and pushed the league into mainstream sports conversations in a way few players ever have. The decline in ratings and buzz after her playoff exit was immediate and measurable, proving just how central she had become to the league's momentum. The WNBA now faces a critical choice: fully acknowledge and build upon the impact she has made, or continue resisting and risk losing the progress achieved. Caitlin Clark's legacy is already secure. Whether the league chooses to grow with her influence or struggle without it will define its future.